Hi YouTube. So today I decided I'm going to do a video on parenting styles, or my parenting styles. I know that everybody has their own style or choice when it comes to parenting and different ways to, I guess, parent their child. I'm not judging anybody, and I'm hoping that nobody judges me on what I chose to do, or what I'm choosing to do, how I parent my son. Remember that I did have Damien at 17, so I was young, and I don't know all of the, I guess, parenting things that people do, so I just go with my own instinct. So the first thing I made as a choice for my child, for Damien, was to breastfeed. I decided that the most healthy thing in my opinion, was to breastfeed him. So for about 6 months he was solely breastfed. No formula, no nothing. I couldn't even pump very much. I think he had the bottle once since he was born to 6 months old. And he was really good with latching. He was like, everything was really good with that. But I was really proud of that decision to breastfeed, and I guess that was probably my first decision as a parent. One thing I have trouble with now, it's more around this stage, now that he's 15 months old and stuff, he's starting to get into those phases where they like to act out and test your patience and stuff. So for a little while, Damien was in the stage of biting. He got out of that quite quickly, actually. We just kept telling him, no, it's not nice, and stuff like that. A couple times we did have to do mouth bobbing and mouth bopping, whatever you call it. But he learned really quickly that, biting is not nice, so he grew out of that that was probably a 2-week long little phase. Now he's into the phase with hitting, and we're having a lot of trouble with that because we don't know how to teach him that it's not okay. He's still young, so he doesn't understand really yes or no. I try explaining maybe in the tone of my voice. If I have a very serious and stern voice, I'm hoping that helps, but he thinks it's funny. He thinks it's a game. I've tried tapping his hand when he hits, and again, he laughs. He thinks it's funny, and I don't want to hurt him, so I'm not being very rough or anything. It's just that I want him to understand that it's not nice to hit people. And I'm not okay with hitting back. I know a lot of people do that, like if your child hits you in the leg, then hit them back in the leg. But to me, maybe it would be a good thing. It's just that I find it's hypocritical, in my opinion. I'm not judging or anything. It's just that I can't teach my child not to hit if I'm doing it to him, Like, it's not gonna teach him that it's not okay. It's just gonna teach him that he can't do something that it's okay for me to do. And I'm really against that when it comes to parenting. I won't do something that I don't want Damien to do. Like, my role as a parent is to be how could I say this? His influence, the person that he looks up to. He wants to do the things that he sees that I do. And that's what he's going to look up to, is me and Ricky and what we do. And that's how he's going to know, like, that's the type of person I want to be, or that's what I want to do, stuff like that. So I don't do things that I don't want him to do. So those are some decisions that I've made as a parent. And I mean, I didn't plan these things out in advance. I was never one to say, oh, I'm going to use the cried out method when he gets to this certain age, or I'm going to tap his bum if he ever does this. Like, I never planned out. I'm not saying that those are the things I do, but I'm just saying that I never planned out these types of things. Like, being such a young parent myself, I go with each stage as it comes. I deal with it in my own way. So now that he's 15 months old, what we had started to do is the cried out method. He slept in our bed for probably the first maybe 7 months of his life. Being my first child, I'm very protective of him, and I always wanted him to be close to me, and so also it helped with breastfeeding for him to be close to me. So probably the first night after he was born, I had him sleep in his bassinet, but it didn't turn out because once he started crying, I got nervous. I was scared something would happen to him. I wanted to see him, so I kind of just got used to him being right beside me in the bed. So it stayed like that for about 7 months he slept with us, and then actually around 6 months I think we'd put the crib in our room, and we tried to pivot him maybe from our bed to the crib and see, but he was still not sleeping very well in the crib. So after that we decided, okay, we're going to give you your own room now. I think it was around the time, maybe a month or two before I found out I was pregnant. We decided, let's give you your own room, and we're going to see how it goes with that. But then, once I got pregnant with Hayden, we realized that Damien was having a lot of trouble sleeping in his own room. He still wants to sleep with us because he was so used to it. So we decided, okay, well, he's getting older now, and soon we're going to have another baby, so we can't have them both in our bed. It's too much. So we decided to start doing the cry it out method. And what we do is, for nap time and for bedtime, also because he was really off schedule, like, he had no schedule at all. He would sleep whenever he felt like it. And that was not good for him or us. It was hard for us to get things done, and it was hard for him. Later on in the day, he would be very cranky, have a lot of attitude because he refused to take a nap. So now what we do is we put him on schedule. Around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, he goes for a nap, and we put him in his crib, and he cries for maybe about 10-15 minutes, and we just let it go. We just leave him cry, and he'll cry himself to sleep. And it works for us, and that's the same thing we do for bedtime. I'm still having a little bit of trouble with bedtime. He wakes up around, I don't know, sometimes like different hours of the night, and I feel really bad. Like, I like to cuddle him and stuff, and I'm still, I guess, myself not over the whole sleeping with him all the time. So I will admit that sometimes I do take him out of his crib and put him in the bed with me for maybe an hour or so, just until he falls back asleep, and then we put him back in his crib. So we're on the verge of trying to wean him off of being in bed with us. And, so yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Another thing, I didn't have any problem with sisses or pacifiers, whatever you call them. A lot of people choose to have pacifiers for their children, but, Damien never took one. I tried to get him to take one, but with the breastfeeding, it was so much easier for him to just feed whenever he needed, so he didn't really need a sus, and he was not a cranky baby at all, so he just didn't want to take one, and he was okay without that. With Hayden, I do want to try giving him a sus. I find it's good to learn to self-soothe, and I think that the sus helps with that. So I do want to do that. Also, something differently I want to do with Hayden is I want to breastfeed for longer. With Damien, I started to take up smoking after he was 2 weeks old. So by the time he was 6 months, my milk had dried up. I don't know if you knew that, but when you smoke, your milk production will slowly start to decrease. And so that's what was happening. And then by the time he was 6 months old, I couldn't breastfeed anymore. There just wasn't enough to keep him going. And he had also started to eat baby food, so that was also taking away time from the breast, and I just started to lose milk production. So at 6 months, he just stopped breastfeeding. Now with Hayden, I did quit smoking on both of my pregnancies. I don't know if I mentioned that. When I found out I was pregnant with Damien, I quit smoking until he was 2 weeks old, and then I started smoking again. Up to when I found out I was pregnant with Hayden, I quit smoking again, and now it's been 6 months that I haven't smoked. And I don't plan on starting up again. I've learned my lesson with the last pregnancy. After I had Damien, I've learned my lesson about milk production and how it decreases and stuff, and I just don't want to take up smoking this time, so that's one choice that I made. Also, I want to breastfeed Hayden for longer. I'm going to try to go up to maybe 9 months to even a year. So I really hope that works out. Because Damien stopped breastfeeding at 6 months, we did have to start formula for a little while. I think he was 9 months old when he started cow's milk. So from between 6 to 9 months, he was on formula. And that was really hard because of the prices, because he was going through so much of it, and it was just not something that I wanted to do in the first place. So I was really disappointed with that. So now with Hayden, I'm going to go breastfeeding all the way up until he can drink cow's milk. That's my plans anyway. Another parenting choice. Let me think. Well, I guess there's now, like I was saying before, teaching Damien is difficult because of the punishing. I don't know when you guys started to punish your children, but, see, Damien is only 15 months old, and I feel like he wouldn't understand if I was to put him on timeout, so I feel like he's still too young to understand that. And, so I haven't started that yet. I'm considering starting maybe in a couple months, just when he starts to learn and understand a little bit more. He's just starting to take his first steps. Actually, today he took his first steps without holding anybody and stuff. So I think that I'm going to wait for him to start walking and maybe be more at ease with himself, be able to transport himself and stuff, so that way he can learn easily. If I say, okay, well, you have to sit in this chair, you have to stay here. You know, I don't want it to be like, well, mommy's not going to come pick you up, but also I want him to learn, well, you have to stay there. You can't get up and go by yourself. You're being in punishment right now. So I want to try and do that. Anyway, I don't really know what else to say. That was just a little bit that I wanted to discuss. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't really think that there's anything else that I can talk about right now. Damien's still young and Hayden's not even born yet, so I haven't really experienced all the steps and stuff like that of what a parent should do. I just know that so far this has been my experience with parenting, and yeah, I'm excited to see Damien grow older. I'm excited to have more challenges along the way, and I'm excited to see what it's going to be like to be a mommy of 2 little boys. So, okay, bye.